this is the audience for today. Welcome. My name is Raquel Quintana. I'm excited to have you here today. I'm going to give you an informative and important message. I really hope that you walk away with some information that will give you a desire of understanding and to do more. So we are living in a fossil addictive world, yet for decades we've known about the dangers and the problems that this is causing to our environment, but the problem seems to be getting worse and worse. And I ask you listen with urgent optimism that we have some cleaner energy options out there. And I want to start with a quote. So we'll start with this quote here. The clear present danger of climate change means we cannot burn our way through prosperity. We already rely too heavily on fossil fuels, and we need to find a new sustainable path to the future that we want. We need a clean industrial revolution. That was from Ban Ki-moon, who is a South Korean diplomat who was the 8th Secretary General of the United Nations. And I really love that he says we need a clean industrial revolution. There's been many revolutions before our time. Why not use all that we've learned and now do something smarter and better? So you might ask yourself, why do you need to know this? What impact are you going to have? Well, think about your children, think about your family. There's a future ahead of us, so we need to do this for them. And clean renewable energy is a realistic alternative to using fossil fuels. So let's begin with the dangers of relying on fossil fuels and that we knowingly keep making these poor decisions that are affecting our environment. So first of all, what are fossil fuels? So fossil fuels are coal, oil, and natural gas. And we become dependent on the oil because that mainly gets us through our transportation. And we become dependent on coal and natural gas because that provides us with electricity. But I think the problem is that previous generations didn't really anticipate the mass usage that was using these in present day. And now in present day, they're going to extreme measures to extract these fossil fuels. So there's fracking of natural gas, there's offshore drilling, mountaintop removal, and tar sands. So let me show you this. These tar sands, and they are by far the most extreme and dangerous. So as you can see what the lands look like before they start demolishing it to what it looks like after, which is really awful. I mean, no one wants to live there, So according to the National Wildlife Federation, production of tar sands oil produces 3 to 4 times as much carbon emissions as regular oil extraction. So it's really bad for our environment. I mean, consider all those animals that lived there before too that no longer have a home now. So why are we burning these fossil fuels? Well, when we're burning them, what we're doing is we're releasing nitrogen oxides into our atmosphere. So in turn, we're breathing this in. It's also released into our water. So we're breathing it, we're drinking it. And I'm sure some of you have seen this brown cloud that looms over Denver. Well, that's because that's all that smog that's accumulated from those burnt fossil fuels. So it's going to contribute to poor breathing, it's going to cause acid rain, and it's going to affect all living organisms from us to animals. And if we don't stop burning fossil fuels or extracting them from the ground, scientists have predicted that by 2040 there will be no sea ice left in the Arctic. So that's going to cause massive flooding in some areas of the world. It's also going to actually cause drought in other areas. And some animals, like the polar bear, may become extinct because they no longer have a home. So just really something to think about, how we're really affecting our environment. So we've talked about the effects and dangers of burning these fossil fuels. Now let's consider some clean energy options such as solar power and wind power. So solar power is going to use the energy from the sun. It's going to convert that energy and it's going to become electricity. You can capture that through solar panels, and like in this example, you can just attach it to a side of a building. So it's already an existing building, just make it more efficient. Wind power is going to use the energy along with those towering wind turbines, and it's going to use that and convert that into electricity as well. So wind power can provide the same electricity that fossil fuels do, but without the harmful emissions of nitrogen oxides. So is solar power and wind power possible? Well, yes, it is. Actually, many countries have already started transitioning. Countries like China, who are a huge contributor of using fossil fuels, have transitioned faster than most people have expected. So the people in China were really upset with the conditions that they were living in and breathing, so they finally said, hey, you need to do something about this. Um, Also, Denmark currently gets 100% of its electricity from renewable energy, and Sweden is currently on its way to becoming the first fossil-free nation. Other countries that are following in their footsteps are Italy and Netherlands. So hearing how all these other countries are transitioning so successfully is really encouraging, and it really shows that it is possible. I think that when people hear how damaging fossil fuels are and how they are to our health, our family, that people want a solution and they want to be a part of it. So we've talked about clean and renewable energy options. Let's consider if we do nothing about the continued use of fossil fuels. Imagine if conditions remain the same. I mean, in this picture here, I mean, look at that. I mean, do you really want to breathe that in? It's pretty dangerous. So consider you'd have to maybe one day, if it's so bad, wear a mask when you go outside. Or that you can't even remember breathing clean, fresh air and thinking about, am I breathing in toxins, chemicals, what's harming me right now? So also consider the wildlife too that's being forced out of their natural habitats due to fracking or from these tar sands. So, like I said earlier, the polar bear may go extinct in areas where the glaciers are going to melt. So the use of fossil fuels impacts everyone, even the innocent wildlife. Do we really want our future generations to only read about these animals or places that once existed on this beautiful earth? So imagine how much better life's going to be after we implement a solution. We may never be fossil free, but if we quit extracting them now, we can really dramatically cut back on our carbon footprint. And we can start to undo the damage that has been done. So we're living in an age of technology and knowledge. This is a time when we can accomplish and what we need to do to save the earth. I mean, we really do have the power to turn back the time right now. This is our only home. We really can't ruin this one. So I think the more we talk about it and people hear about it, they want to do something. So we've talked about these conditions. Let's see what our actions are going to be now, okay? So you know what the fossil fuels are. You know how damaging they are to our environment. You know that there are clean, renewable energy options available, and now we know that there's a drastic need for action. So I ask that you pledge to get involved in your communities. I ask that you understand why you need to vote, and then encourage the leaders that are then elected to actually make these changes for our society. So we must take action. Now is the time to take a stance. Now is the time to take control of what we consume, what we do, how we live our lives. And we can't change the past, but we can change our course in time. And I don't know about you, but I couldn't full well knowing that I never did anything to prevent this for future generations. So I please encourage you to question yourself. What will our generation be known for? Let's make the right choice. Thank you. And now today we actually have a question and answer time. So if anyone has any questions, I will answer them. Any questions for you?
Not really.
Well, I had to prepare a few just in case no one did. So real quick, we'll go over them. A question might be that you might ask yourself, well, what can I do today right after this? Well, you can just be a little bit more cautious of what you're consuming, what you're doing with energy. So if you have like your cell phone charger plugged in, but it doesn't need to be charged anymore, unplug it. Just making smarter options and being more conservative and recycling, all of those things are really a step in the right direction, and they're not going to hurt. So that could be something to start at. Another question could be if I feel that fossil fuels affect global warming, and yes, I really do think it's an issue. I think before there wasn't enough time of when global warming was brought up and studies, but now that time's gone by and they've done numerous studies and seeing like how glaciers are melting in the Arctic and how fast they are, that there really is an issue with global warming, and now that time's gone by, we're actually seeing those results. Another question would be if I think that politicians will actually do something about lessening the use of extracting fossil fuels if people speak up. And I say yes, take a stand. If we don't do it, then of course they're not going to make any changes. They're going to keep doing it because to them that's money. But if we say, hey, let's go clean renewable. Once you invest in it, it's free. Just like the solar. I mean, once you're fully invested in all that solar power, it's free energy forever. So let's make a stand. Let's get on and let's push them because they're going to listen to us when we really are at that point of saying something needs to be done, there needs to be a change. Thank you. Yay, we made it! Don't hit delete.